Yeah.
Okay, demo time.
I think so. Yes, I think we've heard lots of slideware. It has not. So let's talk about a demo I have in mind here. So here we have a Winter 16 org with both BigObject and async SOQL turned on. Now, by the way, we should mention everything I'm showing here is in pilot today. I'm definitely in the customer recruitment mode. If you would like to be involved in the pilot, if you're a developer and only have a DE org, you can contact me directly. Or if you are a former customer, you contact your AE and they'll wire you into these pilots.
So you're John Bruce on
at John Bruce on Twitter is probably the best way to catch me. Okay, so here we have a typical org. So let's set up the scenario here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to help a car writing service, and there's a number of car writing services that I'm sure we all know. So I have one example of a car writing service here where they are looking to potentially do some new things with the data that they generate with their app. Okay, and one of the services that they thought they'd like to introduce is a new, shall we say, commute service. And what they want to do is they want to look at the patterns of all the commutes that take place, such that they can understand where they start and where they end, and at what times, and what kind of class of service that they get. So what we want to look at is take a perspective as to, how can we take that data that's been generated from each of these apps, and if we were to marry that to data with the contact details they have on Salesforce, could they do something interesting to understand whether they could offer a new service?
Right. So basically, effectively doing a join.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to define a couple of big objects here, and I have defined these already just so everybody can see here. And so you can get an idea of what this writer record here is. You can see it's a big object, because it's defined with that specific API name, and we've got some key components within that definition here. So we know how much they paid, when the write took place, its start and end location, who the writer name was. Oh, that's an interesting one, because look, we got a lookup here. So we're actually looking up to that contact, which is actually our person object we're having right now. So here's the join. This is where the relationship is really kind of taking place here. And then so this is a pretty flat profile. Now, in this big object, what we have to date, and I'll just run this query again. Hopefully this timed out, of course. So let's just bring this back up again. There we go. So let's run that query again so I can show you that this data is actually real. Yeah, we'll run this query here, and we're just going to pull out an ID.
So it's just regular SOQL.
Regular SOQL that we have here. We're just going to do a quick query here, and then you can see that SOQL is produced right here. Okay, and you can actually look at this record here. If I were to, do this, I can actually show you that record is actually, all wired into the platform here. We can take a quick look at it here. So this is real data,
right.
And that I just did, surface that data directly into the platform. None of this is in our traditional storage, but this is all pulled out of our big data.
So this is pretty much that's data from HBase,
yes,
appearing in what looks like a regular Salesforce record detail page.
Yeah, exactly. But the key thing here is that we can run these queries, and this data is immediately for it. So what we're going to do is this organization is trying to profile these customers here. So we'd like to kind of scope it down such that we could understand who are the kind of key writers we want to go after. So the first thing they want to do is they want to say maybe they're going to try a SOQL approach and say, okay, well, could I possibly SOQL this? And I want to do the same query, but I want to only get the writers that have a star rating of 5. And what's going to happen here? That's going to not work, because as I said earlier on, IDs don't work. Okay.
Well, ID is the only thing.
Yeah, but so IDs, that's right. ID is the only thing that works. So star ratings, that can't filter on that today. So what am I going to do? So I have the option of doing an asynchronous query. So this is what I have here. So I'm going to take the same SOQL that I ran here. I'm going to push it into an asynchronous query, and then I'm going to directly answer this into a reduced data set. So what this query actually does here, and I ran it a few minutes ago here, you can see the an ID here. That's an example of that. It will take the 1.6 billion records here and reduce it into a smaller data set, and that's going to go into the writer reduced object here. And you can see again we have that definition here. We can just kind of validate here that I've actually had somewhere for that to go. Okay, so then that's a reduced data set.
Right.
So I'm not going to kick it off today right now because
It'll take a few minutes.
It could take a few minutes, and we want to be conscious of our time. But what could I do with that? Could we do with it? And you made the really interesting point. We're like, okay, you've done some interesting data preparation. Now let's kind of maybe take a look at this in Wave. All right?
Here we go. So this is the reduced data set.
Yep.
So we kind of like filtered out the users that we're interested in.
Yeah. So we only got the 5 ratings, 5-star rating here. Yeah. So and what we're going to do here is we're going to start, analyzing their journeys here. So, I did a bit of preparation before, just in the interest of time here, but I can say start lat and start long, start grouping together where you see clusterings of journeys occur. And then just as a last kind of thing, what we'll do here is we'll just say filter down to say, we're just going to say take this particular grouping here just to show everyone this is indeed a live data set. And it's going to filter down here. The spinning wheel is going to spin here, but it's actually going to do one last piece of filtering for this data set so it can understand, okay, here are the folks that we're going to go after. So what am I going to do with this reduced data set is I'm now going to say, all right, let's make a chatter post for my marketing folks who are now going to market directly to those guys going, these are our reduced sets for our target commute campaign. All right? All right. And we can post that, and off we go. So that's a great example of being able to process that data and pushing that out. And when you bring up your writing app, you're now going to say, oh, hey, I've got this. I've been profiled here. We now have this new service. We're going to group you together with some key services that we did not have before. So it's a great example of taking billions of records and doing something interesting with it. But not only that, it's joining together with your core CRM data to actually do something insightful.
Yeah, I mean it dovetails right into Wave there.
Right, totally.